Hello and welcome back to another edition of SuperCoach Edge, and of course this time it is, as it was in the previous couple of episodes, SuperCoach BBL. This episode is going to be dedicated to a conundrum that we might all face heading into the season, and it is with regards to, let me just flick across here, this man, Michael Neser, potentially not being available for round one, or at least the first couple of rounds of round one, because of something that they call the Prime Minister's 11. A little, game that they play against Pakistan, which is happening between the 6th and the 9th of December. So smack bang in the middle is the start of the BBL season. And, of course, the first couple of games that feature the Brisbane Heat in their triple game round. So it would mean that he is available for the last game, the third game for the Heat, but it's just an absolute annoyance, because if he's not available for at least two of the three, we're going to have to look potentially elsewhere. And it might be a silver lining, because it will free up a little bit of cash. But before we get into things, I just want to thank everyone that has consumed our content thus far and provided the support, which has absolutely blown us away in terms of those new subscribers. So can't thank you enough. Tip of the cap to you. And if you're watching this and you do enjoy our content, or are enjoying our content, and would like to provide your support as well, that would be absolutely fantastic and help us on our way to the 1K subscriber mark. All you need to do is just click like, give us a subscribe. So thank you so much in advance.
Your ideas are intriguing to me, and I wish to subscribe to your newsletter.
But let's get on with things and look at the options that we have when it comes to Michael Neser's replacement. So as you can see here, this is my team. You would have seen the couple of changes that I had since my first team reveal video that I released last week. But it is, of course, for those people who haven't seen it, Sam Whiteman comes in as an option on the bench, and I think he's going to be a very nice cash cow, especially if Inglis isn't available in round one, or at least the early part of the season, if he is selected in the Aussie team. And likewise as well, I've brought in Rashid Khan, as you can see there, because I think it's someone that you need to start, just in terms of having in your team, really, not as a starter per se, but because the strikers have the double in round two. So no matter which way you cut it, you're going to have to find a spot for him in your team, whether it's, at the start of the season or coming out of round one. So I'm willing to save a trade there and keep him in my squad from the get-go. So with Neser, let's go back to him. Let's click on trade here. Alrighty, let's sort things by ownership, and you can see here all the highly owned players and those of which I have in my team at present. I think the obvious one here as a potential replacement is Quinton de Kock. He has put in an absolute blinder in recent times across the World Cup. It's quite notable. He's hit a ton or two and hit some really, really notable high scores. So he's definitely one. So I'll put him in there at the moment, and we'll go save team. Now, it does give me the extra bit of coin, which is always handy in the salary cap, in terms of trying to find a bit of extra coin, which we will need in order to get Matt Short from the strikers into our team coming out of round one, of course, because the strikers, as I mentioned earlier, they have the double in round two. And, of course, good old Shorty, he's not short on price, because he comes in priced at 244.1k. Eye-watering, one of the more expensive, if not the most expensive option in BBL SuperCoach. So we're going to have to find a bit of extra coin to get him into our team. And of course, that bit of extra coin there, not much, by downgrading Neser to de Kock, the Rooster, does give us a bit of, wiggle room in trying to find that extra bit of coinage to get Short into our team. So he is definitely an option. Obviously, a bit of a bonus there being a batsman wicketkeeper. And the plan, if I was to start with him, Sorry, let me rewind a bit. So one of the other bonuses in starting De Kock is the fact that the Renegades, they have a double in round 1. They've got a single in round 2 and a double in round 3. So it does mean that he's got 5 games across the first 3 rounds, which is always a bonus. So he's probably even more valuable than a Neser, you'd think at this stage, but considering the amount of double games that he's got in the early part of the season. But for me, the main worry is, yes, I know he's in awesome form. There's no guarantee that he's going to be able to transfer that form across when he comes to the BBL. Of course, playing in the World Cup might be absolutely gassed and start slow for the tournament. So that's the main worry with him. High ownership though, so it does sort of negate the risk. So I don't mind that side of it either. But yeah, there's a few things adding up in his favour. Positive factors, no doubt. If I was to start with him, in terms of looking forward, and as I always say, you've got to look beyond the current round you're in, not just the next round, but the round after that. So as we are doing there with De Kock, potentially playing the double in round 1, the single in round 2, and the double in round 3. But thinking about trades out of round 1, and if you were to start with De Kock, you would be committed to him for the first 3 rounds because of the fact that he's playing a double, single, double. And it makes no sense in getting rid of him when he's on the single in round 2 because you could potentially need to bring him back for round 3. So you're committed with him for the first 3 rounds of the season. So that's, I guess, the real only downside. If he starts slow, you just have to stick with him. But it is what it is. So in terms of trades out of round 1, I do, as I said, have that 30.3k in the bank, which will help me get a hold of Matt Short. And I guess the couple of trades that I'm probably thinking of doing is potentially Hardy, just because you need to sacrifice someone at this high price point in order to bring in Matt Short, of course, because to bridge that gap in terms of the dollar side of things is much easier compared to if you're getting rid of a Philippe or a Stoinis or one of those guys, for example. Not that you would. But Hardy, let's just do this. Pretend that round 1's been played and we're going into round 2. So Hardy would go out. And just to remind ourselves what Short is worth, he is a bat bowler, of course. That only affords me 208.6k, so I need to find, an extra 36k, roughly 35.5k, quick sums, in order to afford Matt Short. So I would need to downgrade another player. So my first thought is potentially Billings, or it would be a Munro, I think. Keeping in mind that Brisbane have the bye in round 3. So if you're starting with a whole heap of Brisbane players, just keep in mind you're going to have to shift them out of your team by round 3. So it's probably a good sign to get rid of at least 1, if not 2, maybe 3 if you're using a boost out of round 1. But again, depends on price points and balancing all of that out. So let's have a bit of a go at Billings. So he is, of course, TPP Billings. He is a wicketkeeper batsman. So what I would probably do is put Philippe in the wicketkeeper slot here. Matt Short would come in, doesn't matter, as a bowler or batsman. Let's just put him as a bowler at the moment. And then we can kind of work out, in terms of what we have to spend. So we've only got 81.4k remaining if we were to use Billings as the scapegoat, as it were. So let's have a look in this range here and see what's available to us, both in the bats and the bowls. So the bowlers. So let's have a quick squeeze. In fact, let's just sort it by price. And we'll go all the way down to 81.4k, and we'll start from the ground up. There's not much here. Not looking good. There's McGurk, of course, ahead of the Renegades double game in round 3. You'd play single in round 2 if you were to get him. But again, we don't know if he's going to play in the starting team early doors for the Gades. There's Harry Nielsen, of course, does help with the strikers being on a double in round 2. But historically, even as a wicketkeeper, he doesn't score all that well. Although last year, there were a couple of notable games. Scored a 73 SuperCoach points and 49, a 45 and a 30. And I think a couple of those, if not one of those, was at least a double. But he doesn't really get too many catches as a wicketkeeper. He got dethroned, I think, at one stage by Kerry coming back into the team, if memory serves, potentially not. Correct me if I'm wrong, and apologies if I am. But we'll just keep scrolling up. That's it. So there's no one really in the batsman category that would be keen on. So let's shift across to the bowlers. And we'll again go from the ground up. There's Billy Stanlake, potentially. Not that I'm a big fan of him. I don't know, again, if he's going to be in the starting team for the Canes. Cooper Connolly, don't mind him, but again, he would have already had his double in round 1. Ben Menenti, spoke about him, of course, on Damo's SuperCoach channel. So check that out as well, because I did have a bit of a chat with him about, again, some value players on his channel. Check him out. Produces some quality stuff as well. I would really love to have been able to afford Sanger. I'm still not sure if I'm going to start with him in Siddle's spot. Again, would need to weigh up, if I need some extra coin in order to try and get Matt Short, like I'm doing now in this scenario. And, Siddle, there's only 8k difference, 8.3k difference. So, not much, but as you can see here, there's, you gotta pinch, gotta squeeze every penny, as they say on The Simpsons. So yeah, there's no one really here of value, or high value anyway, if I was to get rid of Billings in order to try and afford Matt Short. So off the back of that, I reckon we're going to be keeping Billings and getting rid of Munro, which isn't ideal because I think Munro obviously is the better player, better form line, super consistent and very, very solid, but it is what it is. I think we're going to have to, as I said, shift him out of my side come round 3 anyway because they're on the bye. So if I get rid of him a week early, it is what it is if it allows me to afford the big gun in Matt Short. So obviously Matt Short in my team. Now, this is what we're talking about. It gives me 120.6k for a player to bring into my side off the back of Munro. So let's, again, we'll do it by ownership, probably fast track things. There's Ashton Agar, obviously, again, would have had their double the Scorchers in round 1. But I don't mind him. He is quite solid. This isn't looking too good either. There's Moises Henrique. Yeah. He did all right last year. He is pretty solid, but it can be hit and miss. Loves a catch or two, does Moses. But yeah, not the most solid or reliable, rather. Ashton Turner, I don't mind. Again, bats lower order. Did come in at various stages when they had a bit of a collapse, the Scorchers, and can bowl an over, a sneaky over or two. Ollie Davies, I don't mind. Depends where he comes in. If he's near the top order of the batting order for the Thunder, I wouldn't mind him. Again, can be hit or miss, but did have some handy knocks last year. Super talented, of course. Who else is there? Maddinson. But yeah, I mean, there's probably merit to it because, as I said, with the Renegades having their double in round 3, potentially getting the front foot, that's always a good thing. Gives you an extra double game player for an upcoming week. Yeah, slim pickings, I think. Jason Sanger, I don't mind. But they don't have the double until round 4, I think it is. Yeah. The batsmen, I'm not too crash hot on here. So let's have a look at their bowlers. Geez, we're scrolling and we're not being able to afford any of these guys. Oh, sorry. Apologies. I'm an idiot. That's the reason why. I should have just done the S on Matt Short then, but that's all right. We'll just go the long way. Alrighty. So now they'll pop up. Here we go. That's better. So I could go save some coin and get 10 via Sanger in ahead of his double, anticipating that in round 4. Ashenago, as I said, don't mind him. Kuhneman, no, they would have played their triple, obviously, coming with an upcoming bye. Jesus, slim pickings beneath that 120k mark. Peter Hatzoglu, I don't mind as a sneaky, but they don't have the double to around 7, I think it is. Yeah. So that's the only thing is, if I was going for De Kock, as you can see here, it doesn't really afford me with anyone of decent quality. So you'd need to start, obviously, someone that's a bit cheaper than De Kock, and that will afford you someone a bit higher up. Like, I'd love to be able to afford Zampa. And that's the other thing as well, potentially, is maybe I start with Zampa instead of someone like De Kock. Zampa's in ripping form, if you're following the World Cup. Scintillating form. And as we know, when it comes to BBL SuperCoach, the bowlers, more often than not, score higher than the batsmen at a greater frequency. So in terms of that, let's backtrack and just pretend that I didn't bring De Kock into my starting team in place of Neser, or Neser rather, always get his name mixed up. So in this case here, it would be Zampa in, and then what would it be? Oh, it's Munro, of course. So let's just backtrack here. Sorry, we're just going back in time, Marty McFly style. And then, where are we? Billings. Oh, Billings is in. Sorry, Munro. Okay, yep, that's it. This is where we're at. So to try and work out who to bring into my team, fair bit of coin. Fair bit of coin, that's for sure. So it almost means that I could potentially start with Matt Short if I was to go down that route, which I don't mind, actually. I don't mind at all. Sorry, who did I have in this spot here? I messed this up. Let me go back. I've skipped over it here. I've done myself a bloody doozy. It was Aaron Hardy. So I wouldn't be able to afford Aaron Hardy in my team if I was to go down Matt Short route by starting him. But I think there's probably merit in starting with Hardy, considering the Scorchers have the double. So it would afford me this. So that's probably a sliding doors moment. So it's probably a good thing I did that, because it shows me that if I wanted to start Matt Short, it means I have to sacrifice a Hardy in my starting team. But let's pretend I'm going down the Hardy route. The hard route. Walk straight into that. So let's have a quick squeeze at what we could afford in the bowlers category first off. Don't think Marsh will be playing. He'll be with the with the Aussie squad. I could afford Zampa, as I said, and it affords me quite a bit of coin. So I don't mind this. It means I just shift Hardy into Neser's spot there. And then if I wasn't to go for Zampa, I could afford Daniel Sams. But I think push comes to shove, I think you'd be going for Zampa, considering, as we've said a million times already, with the Renegades, they've got the double, single, and double the first 3 rounds of the season. So I think Zampa's winning that battle thus far. Sutherland, I don't mind. Took the next step in his game last season, which was handy. Again, Renegades, double, single, double. Sixes for Hayden Kerr. He's been pretty handy over the past couple of seasons as an all-rounder, genuine all-rounder. But I think with him, I think, what was he battling? He was battling an injury, but I think he's since overcome it, or he's on track to overcome it anyway in time for the BBL season kicking off. But I don't mind Hayden Kerr. It would leave me with 68.9k in the kit. Andrew Ty, I always like good old Ty with death overs. He is always reliable for a cheapie. Nathan Ellis, yes, but no. You got to almost play to the fixture here. When there's so many guys available at this point in time, you've got to play to the fixture. So hence the reason why I've overlooked Sam, where if it was even keel, I'll probably go for Sam's over Zampa, just because he's an all-rounder and double chance at points. You could go for Majib, again, double, single, double. Kane Richardson, I really enjoy Richo. Death overs, bowling and power plays as well. Reliable for a couple of cheapies at least. Berendorf, same mould as well, starting with a double. And I think that's about it in terms of what's jumping out at me here. Dwarcius, yeah, it was up and down last season. Tom Rogers I like as well. Really good. He's a death over bowler as well. I think that's about it. Henry Thornton, maybe. He dropped off in the back part of last season, but really was a reliable bowler in the early part of the season. So ahead of the strikers double, might be someone to get in. If I was to start with him, to bring him in, Henry Thornton, 48.9k in the bank. So yeah, and that's pretty much it. So yeah, I think at this stage I'd be looking, if it wasn't to go down the if I was to start Hardy, I'd be going for either Zampa, Sutherland, Kerr, but again, just because there's 5 games in 3 rounds, I'd be going for a Renegade, I think. So either Zampa, Sutherland, Richo, Majib. I think I'd probably scratch Majib off. So probably Richo, and I'll scratch off Sutho. So I'll go Zampa or Richo. And maybe Rogers. So I'd be choosing between those guys there. Higher price point, doesn't afford me too much coin. It would be Rogers, so I'd probably have to scrub him off. Richo, I think, is good value. 143.3, and Zamps is even cheaper. So potentially going for Zampa in my team, and then we'll save that for now and pretend this is my team going into round 1. Coming out of round 1, again, planning to shift out the likes of Munro and Hardy, I think potentially because I won't have enough coin to shift Billings and Hardy. So we'll just do this as well. We'll start with Billings and Hardy. So we'll see if this allows us to do it. So we're chopping and changing, going back and forth, but hopefully you're keeping up and understanding what I'm doing here with the scenarios. So there we go, match short. And then it gives us that amount of coin. We go for Finchy. I could go for Adam Hose potentially ahead of the strikers. Sorry, that'd be heading into the strikers double. This is heading into round 2, of course. Yep. I think that's nope. We'd need to shift, if this was the case, Curran. I think Curran from the bowlers into the bats in order to allow me to select a bowler. So we'll do that quickly. Just a reminder, this is the scenario coming out of round 1, heading into round 2. So it's just looking at how much cash I have in the bank in order to do this. So it leaves me with a 129.5, shifted Curran from the bowlers into the bats. And let's see what we can afford here. Probably not too much. Again, similar scenario. Majib, we could afford. And conscious also that the Stars are on a bye here as well in round 2. So short comes on, no brainer on their double, and potentially a Whiteman or shift Whiteman onto the bench in the wicket keeping spot, and then bring McDermott on field. And then of course Rashid Khan comes on, and off goes potentially Swepson or Johnson, and go about it that way. So I could go again, Agar, maybe. Yeah, slim pickings. So yeah, I'd probably have to get rid of Munro, I think, instead of Billings. There you go, 168.7. So 168.7. So can afford any of these guys here. Henry Thornton on the double. Don't mind that. It means I'd have, if that was the case, 1, 2, 3, 4 on the double. Again, playing to the fixture. Agar, yeah, I don't even know what his spot's like. This season was very, very up and down last year. Boyce, maybe. But I think more than likely you'd be trying to get another striker in to your team. So I don't mind Thornton. So maybe that's the way that I sit going into round 2. And then obviously, as I said, Rashid comes on, Short comes on, and I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 double game round players. And then shift out Billings, Johnson, and Swepson in round 3 because they'll be on the bye. Or alternatively, seeing how things land, I could use a boost going into round 2 in order to get rid of one of these guys early, which is also an option as well in terms of trying to afford, Matt Short. The other option is not starting Peter Siddle and starting with a genuine donut loop player. So hopefully, there we go. So he is cheapest and he's a DPP player. So that would afford me, an extra, 33.5k to start the season. So that's another option as well. Knowing that I could start with him and be able to afford Matt Short and maybe not have to trade out Munro and trade out Billings instead. Who knows? But anyway, that's kind of it. There's so many different scenarios I could go through and I could be here all day, but in the interest of keeping this video under half an hour and allowing you good folk to scrub through and check out the scenarios of what you could potentially do. Of course, your team will no doubt be different to mine, so your salary cap will be very, very different. Or maybe similar, but just have a play around. Now's the time to probably do it. We're still 19 days out from the start of the BBL season, of course, but it's always good to get in early, just in terms to see what you have at your disposal, really, because if Neser's out and you're down to 2 days out from the season, you're scrambling to try and find all different scenarios to sort of, I guess, replace Neser, you might overlook something in your rush. So it's always good to have a bit of a play around. At least I know now there's a few scenarios where it does allow me to get in Matt Short without having to use a boost. But again, I may go down the DPP non-playing player loophole path, or I could go down another path like trading out someone more expensive like a Munro compared to a Billings in order to fund that Matt Short trade in. But it is what it is. This is my team this is the team how it could look heading into round 2. But let me just undo these changes here, back to the way things were. Alrighty, there we go, and I've reset my team as to how it was before I muddled everything up, just so I don't confuse myself and miss out on a player that I had in my initial starting team. So, but that's it for this edition. Thank you so much again for those people who have supported us, watched our content, given us a like, and given us a subscribe. They've gone through the roof, and we can't thank you enough. So thank you again so much. And for those people that have subscribed, after watching this video as well, we give you multiple thumbs up. If I had more than 2 thumbs, you'd be getting all of them. So thank you again. If you haven't subscribed, all you need to do is just click the subscriber button somewhere down there. And we can't thank you enough yet again. But until next time, we will see you. Same time, same place. We'll catch you then. Cheers.